Hello, tip three. Welcome everyone. We're good. Got the kettle on. Boiled. Big mug today. Hope we're good. Sunny day. Beautiful day today. I've got a big mug. Big mug. It's not the king of mugs. I've gone slightly big. This is no rehearsal. It's a performance of a lifetime. Good mug. Strong mug from me today, I think. That's good. I've not got biscuits today. I've gone cake. Got a little cake. A little granola slice. It's a little treat. Thursday, tier 3 treat. I'm cranking it up, leaving biscuits and just going straight for cakes now. Yeah, that's quite important. Of course, we've got a question. We need a question to start it all off. Everybody's very excited about the questions. So my question today is about biscuits. I'll be progressing to cake questions later. But my question today, I'll just sort it out. My question today is, there was a biscuit sold 5 years ago at auction. And it was a biscuit that was recovered from the Titanic, the sunk Titanic. And, lovely to see you, Matt. Yeah, I've left it au naturel actually. After my Facebook post, where I was getting a lot of nice comments, there's no products on my head today. This is natural. Anyway, but back to my biscuits. So a biscuit from the Titanic. I took it off the Titanic, and it was secured by a guy from the Carpathia. The ship that rescued the Titanic. It was sold at auction in 2015, and it's just like a normal little biscuit. It's not like a Jeff cake or anything. Normal little biscuit. What I want to know is, what did it sell for at auction? How much did one biscuit, and I quote, shows signs of moulding in the auction brochure? So how much did that sell for at auction? One biscuit from the Titanic. This was 5 years ago as well. So type in your answer. So if Crofty's on the line, he's probably going to put about £2 million up or something like that. But it is less than that. So anybody want to guess? Let's see out there. No guesses on my biscuit question. Come on, guys, don't be shy. £100 Rachel Fairfield. Wow. It's a biscuit from the Titanic. It's 103 years old when it was found. This biscuit, 103 years old. So if anybody else wants to guess, put your answers in. £5,000, 2,500, 64,000. It's the sixth. Oh, Carly Waldle, you missed it. The question is, a biscuit from the Titanic was sold at auction 5 years ago, and how much did it sell for? How much did the biscuit sell for 5 years ago? This was biscuit from the Titanic, secured on the Carpathia. £150,000, £10,000. Well, it's a lot of biscuits. I reckon I eat about £10,000 worth of Jaffa cakes a year, Claire. So I'm not doing too bad. Anyway, is it not mouldy? Well, funny you should say that, because I did mention it in the brochure. It actually says show signs of moulding, but it's not completely mouldy, and I think it's protected now. I think maybe it's kept in something. But I wouldn't eat it, I don't think, and I eat a lot of biscuits, but I wouldn't eat that one. Anyway, should we do some negotiation? That'd be good, wouldn't it? Yeah. Right, so we're going to do negotiation today. Just a quick 10 minutes, just some headlines on negotiation. So what I'm going to start with, I'll do a little structure, and then I'll just give some tips. So simple structure, I've just got 6 points. At the start, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a little introduction. So we always do that with a negotiation, explain roles, etc., about why people are there, because often there's more than one person from each side. And when I'm talking about negotiation today, I'm not talking about hard negotiation like car salespeople or something like that. I'm just talking about the classic negotiation that we sometimes have to do at work, maybe about projects or something like that. So introductions, who we are, what our roles are there for. Then we're going to do like a little opening statements about what maybe each party wants. Before we go into the third stage, which is about probe issues and priorities, what people are looking for. Then we kind of think about crafting a deal. So we start building on those priorities and try and package those together. Remember, one price, one package, another package, another price, always very important. Some negotiators will say, okay, I'll buy your house. Oh, and once you've agreed the price, then they'll start saying, oh, and will you throw the washing machine and the fridge and all of that in? So remember, make sure we're doing one price, one package. Yeah. And we agree, and we agree, and we move on and we close. That's a simple 6-step structure. So it's intros, it's opening, it's expiration, it's crafting, it's agreeing, and it's closing. That's kind of where we go. That's the 6 steps. But I thought I'd give you some little ideas. Nice tea today, actually. A good tea, Thai food comatron. So firstly, a bit of prep. You know, why do we need this negotiation? What is the issue? Has the other person approached you? So what's it all about there? What is my goals? What are my goals? If I'm going into a negotiation, what am I willing to give? What am I not willing to give? Have I got any past experience about maybe the client, the person I'm working with, the business I'm working with, anything along those lines? So anything that you can grab about maybe styles that people communicate in, linking back to the topic last week, that would be useful to know. So we can pick those things up at that prep. Then once we get in and we start listening to people, really listen to them. And the 4 key bits of listening. Firstly, we listen for facts, and generally we're very good at listening for facts. That's an easy thing to listen to. So I can kind of say the sky's blue, and people say, oh no, it's not, it's grey, it's a different colour. Facts is the first level, very easy to listen on. And I'm not saying don't listen on that, but then we'll build on that. Second thing we'll think about is feelings. So when are people using expressive words? You can even ask, how do you feel about that? But understand the feelings that they are expressing when they're talking about something, because it'll kind of show you if things are important to them or less important. And that will lead you a little bit into the third stage, which is intentions. What are they intending? Are they intending to close? Are they intending to put something else in? But what's their real intention in the negotiation? And the fourth layer, which I don't always see as a layer, but it's a key part, it's about filters. So are you overlaying filters on this? So is that because it's maybe a finance house, or maybe it's a client you've done some work with before, any previous experience, which was useful, make sure it's not filtering out things and making your negotiation that bit harder. So facts, feelings, intentions, and filters from the listening point of view. Now, all the time we're doing this with that filters part, remember we talked about emotional intelligence one of the earlier sessions. So check your emotions. What's going to push your buttons? So, because if you feel passionate about something, it can cloud how you negotiate. You might concede too much if it's of less interest to you, but equally, if it's really passionate, you might not be willing to break. So don't push too hard, don't concede too easy. What are your triggers and how do they impact on you? Then a little bit of clarity in our communication, how we put ourselves across. We want it to be clear, we want it to be concise, we want it to be understood by other people. You don't have to magically turn into Stephen Fry and use a load of words that you've never used before. Just keep it nice and simple. If it's on a t-shirt and it can be read and understood, that's good. State the outcomes you're seeking. This is the agreement I'm seeking. Now, towards the end, it's not all about winning. We'd love to think it's all about winning, but it's not all about winning. Remember, with a negotiation, really you want both people to walk away happy. So try and find that shared goal and work towards it. Now, the best story I've got for this is a bit of an old classic, but it's about 2 chefs. And so they're both working in a kitchen, and they realise that they need an orange for their recipe. So they go to the cupboard, and there's just 1 orange left, but they both need the orange. They both need the orange. And this kind of, debate ensues about who should get the orange, and they're not willing to collaborate because they both want to win. They both want the orange. So in the end, what they do is they say, what we'll do is we'll compromise. That's what we'll do. We'll compromise because this is a good way. This will provide a win-win solution. But what this is providing is merely a compromise. So they chop the orange in half. Both recipes crave a whole orange, but they end up with half an orange each. And they said, we can make them with rubbish. Anyway, so the first guy's doing his recipe, and he picks up his half orange and he juices the orange. Well, I'll do that. That's what I was doing. Juicing the orange, and then he throws the bit of orange away. He doesn't need it. And then the second guy's preparing, and he zests the orange, and he throws his half of the orange away. Now, of course, the moral of this, quite simply, is if these people had communicated, if they'd have collaborated, if they'd worked for a common goal, there would a whole orange for both of them, because one wanted the juice, one wanted the zest. So nice and simple. Don't think about winning, think about best solution. And then, of course, the last thing is our interpersonal skills. Read the room. What do we see? What body languages signals do we see? People leaning in, people nodding their heads, people getting ready to agree. If you hear phrases along the lines of, oh, well, I can't make that decision at the moment, then we can quickly say, well, is there somebody else I can speak to who can make that decision? But we want a bit of decision making, bit of decisiveness, and keeping it within the ethics of the business. In the old days, a lot of rather grim ethical decisions were made by certain sellers. A couple of other little things. try not to use like threats in negotiation. Like, if we don't agree now, then I'm going to walk away. We need better than that. We need a lot better than that. And if you are going to walk away, where are you walking to? And this in negotiation is known as a BATNA, a best alternative to a negotiated agreement. So if I say, right, I'm going to walk away, make sure you're going to walk to somewhere. Because if you've got nowhere to walk and you end up coming back, then of course your position is less impressive. Less impressive. So make sure you have a BATNA. What is your alternative? Where are you going to go? And there's some like very simple tips. I mean, in some of the big worlds of negotiation, people will add in little extras. A friend of mine, recently bought a car, and they spent a fair amount of money on it, in my opinion. Upwards of £15,000 on a car. And when they went to pick the car up, there was a bunch of flowers on the back parcel shelf, and they were very excited. It's like 17 grand on a car, and they've given you a £40 bunch of flowers. But these little sweeteners on negotiation sometimes help. Something that's important to the buyer, less important to the seller, and that can help sweeten the deal. So there's some headlines on negotiation. We're not deep diving. That certainly is old school car sales, Carly, but it still exists. It still exists. I'm not even going to mention rubber mats, but they still properly do it. Funny enough, actually, one of the last cars I bought, the guy put a big ribbon on it, which was very nice. Ribbon was probably worth more than the car, to be fair. But anyway, right, that's good. So old school car sales, I used to do it. I used to sell cars. There we go. So the biscuit, how much did the biscuit cost? Well, we started off at £500. Kerry Hart, 5,000. That Plant 2.5. Harley Cole, 64. Abbey Fettle, £250,000. That's very expensive biscuit. Clara, 152, very specific. Almost feels like you've Googled it. 150 grand. Claire Bryan, 10 grand. The winner, in fact, is Claire Bryan today. That biscuit actually went for £15,000. £15,000 for one biscuit from the Titanic. Sank now 108 years ago, 1912. That boat sank. But anyway, there we go. So that's me done for the week. Lovely for joining me at tea. There's my little granola bar. That's nice. That's got fruit in it, part of my 5 a day, so that counts. Did you buy it, Claire? Yeah, definitely, absolutely. So next Tuesday, what we're going to do, I thought I'd talk about a little bit about unconscious bias. I was doing a little session on this for a client yesterday. Quite intriguing, quite interesting. There's some good stuff. I think it's one of those things that we all have that we don't know. By definition, it is unconscious. Really hope you can join me next Tuesday. A little 10 minutes, 15 minutes on unconscious bias. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the sun, and I will see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.